My boss fired me over the phone while I was on my dream vacation. He thought he could ruin my life. What he didn't know is that I owned the copyright to his entire company. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. 2 weeks in Bali, disconnecting from the world, celebrating the biggest project of my career. I'd just poured 6 months of my soul into creating a revolutionary new software for my company. A project that was projected to make millions. I was the lead designer, the architect, the guy who stayed up all night coding and debugging while the executives slept. My boss, Richard, had promised me a promotion, a huge bonus, and this much-needed vacation as a reward. I was on top of the world, sipping a drink by the beach when my phone buzzed. It was him. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. "Hey, Richard, what's up? The beach is amazing," I said, my voice full of sunshine. His voice was cold, like ice. "We're letting you go," he said flatly. "Your services are no longer required." I thought it was a joke. A terrible, tasteless joke. "What? What are you talking about?" I stammered. "The project's done. You said—" He cut me off. "The project is done, yes, and we don't need you anymore. HR will send you the details. Have a nice life." And then he hung up. Just like that. Fired. My heart pounded in my chest. I couldn't breathe. I tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted. I emailed. Nothing. Panic set in. My company credit cards were probably already canceled. My flight home? Was it still valid? My mind raced through the worst-case scenarios. I looked at my laptop, sitting on the table next to me. The laptop where I had built his entire future fortune. They had launched the software that morning. I saw the press release online. They were celebrating, popping champagne in the office, while I was stranded halfway across the world, jobless and betrayed. That's when the shock turned into something else. A cold, quiet anger. They thought they could just take my work, my creation, and throw me away like trash. But they made one colossal mistake. For the next 2 days, I barely left my hotel room. Forget the beaches, forget the temples. I was a man on a mission. I wasn't just going to get even. I was going to reclaim what was mine. Richard was arrogant. He thought he was smart, but he always skimmed the details. And the most important detail was in the independent contractor agreement I signed when I started the project. See, I wasn't a full-time employee. I was a specialized contractor brought in for this one job. My lawyer, a sharp guy who always looked out for me, had insisted on one specific clause. A clause that Richard, in his hurry to get the project started, had probably glanced at for 2 seconds before signing. The clause stated that all intellectual property, all source code, all designs remained my exclusive property until final payment and the execution of a separate copyright transfer document. A document they had never sent. A final payment they had just refused to make by firing me. They had launched a multi-million-dollar product without ever actually owning it. My first call was to my lawyer. He chuckled when I explained the situation. "Oh, they really messed up," he said. "Big time." We spent the next hour drafting the most beautiful cease-and-desist letter you've ever seen. It wasn't just a letter. It was a digital nuke. We didn't just send it to Richard and the company's legal department. We sent it to their web hosting provider, their payment processor, their app store liaisons, and every major tech journalist I knew. The letter was simple. "You are illegally using my copyrighted material. Cease all operations and sales immediately. Failure to comply will result in a lawsuit for every single dollar you have made, plus damages." The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My phone was blowing up with notifications. The tech blogs had picked up the story. Startup giant launches stolen software. One headline screamed. Another read, Fired coder owns the code to tech's new darling. The company's stock, which had just gone public, was in free fall. Their website was down. Their app was pulled from the stores. Their entire operation had been frozen solid, all from my laptop in a Bali hotel room. It was beautiful. Then, the call I was waiting for finally came. It was Richard. But this time, his voice wasn't cold and arrogant. It was shaking. "What have you done?" he whimpered. "We can talk about this. There's been a misunderstanding." I let him talk. I let him grovel and panic and sweat through the phone. He offered me my job back. He offered me the bonus. He offered me double the bonus. I just listened, savoring every pathetic word. Finally, when he had exhausted all his pleas, I spoke. "There's no misunderstanding, Richard," I said calmly. "You fired me. But you don't own the company you thought you did." "I do. So here's my offer. You can buy the copyright from me for $10 million. And one other thing, I want your letter of resignation on my desk by the time I get back." There was a long silence on the other end. I could practically hear his soul shriveling up. He didn't have a choice. The company was hemorrhaging money and reputation every second the story was out there. He had stockholders and a board of directors breathing down his neck. He was trapped. "Fine," he whispered. And that was that. A week later, I flew home, not to unemployment, but to a very large wire transfer and the news that Richard had resigned to pursue other opportunities. The company had to issue a public statement, and I ended up selling the copyright to them, on my terms. I never went back, of course. Instead, I took that money and started my own company, building things the right way. As for Richard, I heard he's having a hard time finding work. Turns out, nobody wants to hire a guy who got outsmarted by the employee he fired on vacation. That was a wild ride, right? It just goes to show that you should always read the fine print. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what happened when I started my own company and my old competitors tried to sabotage me is a whole other level of crazy. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.